For 3 centuries, this painting existed only in whispers. Locked away in a private collection, shielded from public view, it became the stuff of legend among art historians who knew of its existence but had never seen it with their own eyes. Then, in 2019, everything changed. The painting emerged from the shadows, and what the world discovered was nothing short of extraordinary. A work so powerful, so technically brilliant, and so deeply unsettling that experts immediately understood why it had been kept hidden for so long. The image you're looking at right now is not just a masterpiece of Baroque art. It's a window into a moment of pure psychological terror, painted with such visceral intensity that even today, standing before it feels like witnessing something you shouldn't see. The artist captured something raw and unfiltered, something that makes viewers instinctively step back. And the story of how this painting disappeared, survived, and finally re-emerged is almost as dramatic as the scene depicted on the canvas itself. The painting is titled Judith Beheading Holofernes, and it was created around 1610 by Artemisia Gentileschi, one of the most remarkable and underappreciated artists of the Italian Baroque. But this isn't just any depiction of the biblical story. This is violence rendered with unflinching honesty. Judith, a Jewish widow, has infiltrated the camp of the Assyrian general Holofernes. She's gotten him drunk, waited until he passed out, and now, with the help of her maidservant, she's in the act of sawing through his neck with a sword. Blood sprays across the white sheets. Holofernes' face contorts in a silent scream, his hands desperately grasping at Judith's arms as life drains from his body. And Judith? She doesn't flinch. Her expression is one of fierce determination, her sleeves rolled up like a woman at work doing what must be done. What makes this painting so disturbing is not just the violence, but the realism. Artemisia didn't paint this scene from a safe distance. She painted it as though she were standing right there in the tent, close enough to feel the heat, to hear the struggle, to see every horrifying detail. The tendons in Holofernes' neck are visible beneath the blade. The fabric of the sheets wrinkles under the weight of his thrashing body. Judith's face is splattered with tiny drops of blood. This is not idealized violence. This is murder, depicted with the cold precision of someone who understood exactly what it looked and felt like.
Artemisia Gentileschi was born in Rome in 1593, the daughter of Orazio Gentileschi, a respected painter who worked in the style of Caravaggio. From an early age, Artemisia showed extraordinary talent. By the time she was a teenager, she was already producing work that rivaled that of established masters. But her life took a dark turn when she was 17 years old. Agostino Cassi, a painter and colleague of her father, raped her. What followed was a sensational and brutal trial. Artemisia testified against Tassi, enduring a humiliating process that included torture to verify her testimony. Tassi was eventually convicted, though he served little time. The trial became a public spectacle, and Artemisia's reputation was permanently marked by the scandal. Many art historians believe that Judith Beheading Holofernes, painted just a few years after the trial, was Artemisia's way of processing her trauma and reclaiming her power. In the painting, Judith is not a passive victim. She is an agent of righteous vengeance, taking control of her own story. Some scholars even suggest that Artemisia painted Holofernes' face to resemble Tassi, turning her canvas into a space of symbolic retribution. Whether or not this is true, what's undeniable is that Artemisia brought a perspective to this biblical story that male artists simply couldn't. When Caravaggio painted the same scene a few years earlier, his Judith looked squeamish, almost reluctant. Artemisia's Judith is resolute. She knows what she's doing, and she's not sorry. After the trial, Artemisia moved to Florence, where she became the first woman ever admitted to the prestigious Accademia delle Arti del Disegno. She built a successful career, receiving commissions from powerful patrons across Italy and even from the English court. But despite her success, history was not kind to her. After her death in the 1650s, her work was largely forgotten. Many of her paintings were misattributed to her father or to other male artists. It wasn't until the late 20th century when feminist art historians began re-evaluating the contributions of women artists that Artemisia's genius was finally recognized.
But even as her reputation grew, one of her most important works remained hidden. The painting you're looking at now, this particular version of Judith Beheading Holofernes, vanished from public view sometime in the early 18th century. It was believed to have been part of a private collection in France, but its exact location was unknown. Art historians knew it existed because of written records and descriptions, but none had ever seen it. For nearly 300 years, it was a ghost painting, talked about, but never witnessed. Then, in 2019, a remarkable discovery was made. During a routine inspection of a private home in Toulouse, France, an auctioneer stumbled upon the painting in an attic covered in dust and grime. The owners had no idea what they possessed. They knew it was old, but they assumed it was just another forgotten relic. When the auctioneer saw it, even beneath the layers of dirt, he recognized something extraordinary. The composition, the dramatic use of light and shadow, the sheer intensity of the scene. This could be an Artemisia. The painting was carefully removed and taken to Paris, where a team of experts began the process of authentication. They used infrared imaging to examine the underdrawing, X-rays to analyze the canvas structure, and chemical analysis to date the pigments. They compared the brushwork to other known works by Artemisia. They studied the composition, the anatomy, the way the light fell across the figures. Every test pointed to the same conclusion. This was not a copy. This was not the work of a lesser artist. This was an original Artemisia Gentileschi, and possibly her finest treatment of the Judith story. The discovery sent shockwaves through the art world. A major work by one of the most important artists of the Baroque period, lost for 3 centuries, had suddenly reappeared. The French government immediately classified the painting as a national treasure, prohibiting its export. There was talk of acquiring it for the Louvre. But before any of that could happen, the painting had to be restored. Restoration of a work this old and this significant is a delicate process. The painting had suffered from centuries of neglect. The varnish had darkened and yellowed, obscuring the original colors. There were areas of paint loss, cracks in the canvas, layers of dirt and grime. The restoration team worked slowly and meticulously, removing the old varnish layer by layer, revealing the vibrant colors beneath. And what they found was astonishing. When Artemisia originally painted this scene, she used a technique called chiaroscuro, the dramatic contrast between light and dark that Caravaggio had made famous. But time and dirty varnish had muted those contrasts. As the restorers cleaned the surface, the painting came alive. Judith's skin glowed in the candlelight. The deep reds of the blood became shockingly vivid. The shadows deepened, making the violence feel even more immediate and real. It was as though the painting had been holding its breath for 300 years, and now it could finally exhale.
One of the most striking discoveries during the restoration was a detail that had been completely obscured. In the lower right corner of the painting, barely visible beneath centuries of grime, was a bracelet on Judith's wrist. The bracelet was decorated with a small image of Artemis, the Greek goddess of the hunt. This was Artemisia's signature, a subtle way of signing her work with her own name. It was a detail that no copyist would have thought to include, further confirming that this was indeed an original. But the restoration also revealed something unexpected. Infrared imaging showed that beneath the final composition, Artemisia had made several changes. In an earlier version, Judith's face was turned slightly away, her expression less determined. Holofernes' hand was positioned differently, reaching not toward Judith, but toward the sword. Artemisia had experimented, adjusted, refined. She didn't just paint this scene, she lived with it, wrestled with it, until she found the exact configuration that conveyed the psychological and physical intensity she was after. Now let's talk about the composition itself, because every element of this painting is carefully orchestrated. The action takes place in a compressed space, almost claustrophobic. We're not viewing this scene from a safe distance. We're in the tent with them, close enough to be complicit. The figures are life-sized, which means when you stand before the painting, you're facing Judith and Holofernes as though they're real people, just a few feet away. This was a deliberate choice by Artemisia. She wanted viewers to feel uncomfortable, to confront the violence rather than observe it from afar.
The lighting is theatrical and deliberate. A single light source, presumably a candle or lamp positioned just outside the frame on the left, illuminates the scene. It casts Judith's face in warm light, highlighting her focused expression while throwing dramatic shadows across the white bed linens. Holofernes' face, twisted in agony, is caught between light and shadow, his eyes rolling back, his mouth opened in a silent scream. The light also catches the arc of blood spraying from his neck, turning it into a grotesque focal point. The color palette is surprisingly restrained for such a violent scene. Artemisia uses rich, deep tones, the burgundy of the bed covers, the gold and white of Judith's dress, the dark shadows that frame the action. The only bright color is the red of the blood, which stands out against the white sheets like a violent punctuation mark. This restraint makes the violence more shocking, not less. The painting doesn't need lurid colors to convey horror. The horror is in the act itself. And then there's the maidservant. In many versions of this story, the maidservant is a background figure, passively holding a bag for Holofernes' head, not in Artemisia's version. Here, the maidservant is an active participant. She's older, stronger, and she's using all her weight to pin Holofernes down while Judith completes the task. Her face is set in concentration, not fear. These two women are working together, united in purpose. It's a detail that speaks to female solidarity, to the idea that women are not helpless, not passive, but capable of taking action when necessary. Some critics have argued that the painting is too violent, too graphic, that Artemisia went too far in her depiction. But those critics missed the point. The violence is the point. The story of Judith and Holofernes is violent. War is violent. Sexual assault is violent. Artemisia didn't shy away from that reality. She confronted it head-on, forcing viewers to do the same. And perhaps that's why this painting was hidden for so long, not because it wasn't good, but because it was too good, too honest, too uncomfortable for generations of collectors who preferred their biblical heroines to be demure and decorative.
After the restoration was completed, the painting was put on public display for the first time in centuries. The reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Art critics called it a revelation, a masterpiece on par with Artemisia's other great works. Museums around the world expressed interest in exhibiting it. And the public, many of whom had never heard of Artemisia Gentileschi, lined up for hours to see the painting that had been hidden for 300 years. Standing before this painting today, it's impossible not to be moved, not just by the technical skill, though that alone is breathtaking, not just by the historical significance, though that's profound, but by the raw emotional power that Artemisia channeled into this work. You can feel her anger, her defiance, her refusal to be silenced or diminished. This painting is not just a depiction of a biblical story, it's a declaration, a statement that women's experiences, women's perspectives, women's rage are valid and worthy of being seen. So why was this painting hidden for 3 centuries? We may never know for certain. Perhaps it was simply lost, passed down through generations of a family that didn't recognize its value. Perhaps it was deliberately concealed because its subject matter made people uncomfortable. Perhaps it was misattributed and overlooked. But now that it's been found, now that it's been restored and recognized, it stands as a testament to Artemisia's genius and to the resilience of great art. No matter how long it's hidden, no matter how many years pass, true masterpieces have a way of finding their way back into the light.
I'd love to know your reaction to this painting. Does it disturb you? Does it move you? Do you see it as an act of violence or an act of liberation? Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like to have a reproduction of this painting or any of the other works we've discussed on this channel, you can find them in our catalog. We offer high-quality reproductions with free worldwide shipping. And by purchasing, you'll be supporting the creation of more videos like this one. The link is in the description. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.